once again to Pandora's Box. I'm your host as always, Mr. Calum Waite, or is my name in fact Obadiah Pennywhistle. To the right of me we have Drew as usual.
Hello.
Do you want to give yourself an alias today, Drew?
Bleb.
Bleb. So we have Bleb in the studio. We also have Ed.
Hello.
And Dave.
Hi there.
So Ed, you're the owner of a restaurant in Bristol called Rocksalt, is that right?
Rocksalt, yeah. So Rocksalt in Bristol on Cotham Hill. We do Indian and Chinese food, a little bit of fusion, and banging cocktails as well.
Yeah, I know that my brother goes there all the time and speaks very highly of it.
Wicked.
So it must be good because Sam likes his food and his drink. and Dave, who is the owner of the Bristol Dry Gin Distillery. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it right.
Nice one, dude. Yeah, so tell me about yourself, man.
We've been making gin for about 5 years, since 2017. We try and do as many interesting, weird and wonderful combinations as we can. We try to work with different people, like Ed, who are really interesting, and try and bring out really, really tasty drinks. We also do gin tastings, and we have a bar that we're situated under, so we've got quite a lot of stuff going on. It's good fun. It's all about the flavours, though.
Oh, nice one, dude. Yeah, so for people that are watching us on YouTube, Dave brought in some gin for us. So this is catnip gin, right?
Yeah, the main botanical in this is catnip. There's a whole bunch of other things. Super simple. Basically, gin is flavoured vodka. So you're just flavouring a neutral base. And you need to use juniper berries. But you can pretty much add anything you want. We've added some ridiculous things. Like we distilled a stag's heart once. And we've done all sorts of stuff. Yeah, you can do it.
That's pretty medieval, isn't it?
Yeah.
That sounds
It was
pretty cool.
medieval.
That's quite like a Game of Thrones thing to do.
It's great, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can do all other normal things, but there's a whole bunch of stuff inside here. But one of the main ingredients is catnip that adds a sort of a grassy sweetness to the gin.
Yeah, this is delicious. It's absolutely delicious.
It's so tasty, isn't it? So tasty.
We're going to blend that gin with a chicken-infused pale ale to make a 40% beer gin spirit that uses catnip, chicken beer, and then we're going to fat wash it with pork so we can make a pork, cat, and chicken spirit.
That sounds amazing. That sounds
So
amazing.
we do some ridiculous things.
I've never heard anything like it, but I really like the sound of it. It
Yeah,
sounds
that
awesome.
amazing. Yeah, as I said, this is delicious. Thanks again, just to both of you for coming down today.
No
It'd be
worries.
cool to talk about. So, we're going to get into the main discussion a little bit. But so, what got you into making gin, then, Dave?
Just working in bars, working in really good bars, and working with people who understood how to sort of the process of making things, and then starting with small, interesting, weird projects.
Yeah.
And then I was working in a bar, and the guy that was there was like, let's buy a still and let's try and make gin. And then since then we've just been going.
Nice. Yeah. Were you doing that as like a hobby beforehand, like at home and stuff like that?
No, I was doing loads of things. Like fat washing is a massive thing where you sort of you take bacon fat and you add that to an alcohol, and then you sort of let the flavors sort of go across, and then you get it out by putting it in the freezer. So I was doing a lot of that sort of stuff, trying to use sort of like cinnamon and infused with milk and oranges. But that was just at home. But I didn't know how to make gin when we first started.
Really? So you started like a company not even really knowing how to make gin?
Not even knowing how to make gin. Yeah.
That's fully winging it, isn't it?
Yeah. And I do all the illustration for the bottle. So I did
Right.
the illustration. The other guy does law, accounting, and he's really good at business.
Okay.
So we kind of came
So you're like the
together.
creative one, and he's like more like the logical one.
Yeah, but he's also ridiculous. He's also very, very creative.
Oh, okay.
But like output-wise, we worked really well together as a sort of a team. And
Nice.
we were able to sort of bring different parts to the table, I guess, talents.
Awesome, man. And what about you, Ed? Like, when did you start Rocksalt, and how did that all come about?
Rocksalt opened in October 2019. My advice would be don't open a hospitality business just before a pandemic. So it's been interesting. I mean, we do, because of the Asian food, we've been doing takeaway. So business-wise, it's been fine. But actually, what we got out of the pandemic was it gave us a bit of free time. When we were able to be a bit creative and come up with some crazy ideas, especially for drinks. So we sort of have developed 3 cocktail menus. We do a new cocktail menu every 6 months. And then last Christmas, I came up with the crazy idea of doing the world's largest Negroni.
So that's the main reason why you guys are here to talk to us today. So it's going for the Guinness World Record. Is that right?
Yeah. So we were sort of throwing ideas during lockdown. You know, what are we going to do? We're going to come out of lockdown. Let's do something big. Let's hit the ground running. Do something big. And we were just having Negronis one day, me and my assistant manager Ben, and then we came up with this idea. We were like, I wonder what the world's largest Negroni is. So we thought, oh, it's going to be like, you know, it's going to be a litre or something, ridiculous. Sure. So then we went on Google and discovered that it is 504 litres is the current world record.
Am I right in thinking you're going for 8,000? Is that right?
8,000 Negronis, so 600 litres.
Right.
So 600 litres is the equivalent of about 8,000 Negronis, yeah.
And for people that aren't cocktail connoisseurs out there, like, what is a Negroni?
So Negroni, there's two stories as to where the Negroni came from. There's one that suggests it was invented in Milan in the 20s, and one, the actual official written documentation isn't. Earliest documentation of the Negroni is from France in about 1949. So actually, there's a bit of, the Italians will tell you one thing, the French will tell you the other thing. But a Negroni is just 3 ingredients, equal parts gin, a bitter, and sweet vermouth. Campari is the sort of famous bitter that everyone uses.
Right.
And then how you can make interesting variations on it is to change the gin or change the vermouth. You can even make white Negronis by using white bitter instead of Campari, so it doesn't have that red colour. And then for the world record, so Dave's going to make the gin.
So was it your idea? Did you come up with this idea?
The idea for the Negroni?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like your idea, and then you obviously already knew Dave.
I already knew Dave, and there was no one else I would have gone to make a gin. I've made a couple of collabs with gin.
3. We've done 3 gins.
We've done 3 gins together now.
We did a nutmeg based one, and then we did obviously the lemongrass with Rocksalt.
Lemongrass, and
then we did 3 tigers.
3 tigers,
and that's a savoury gin.
So and you bring them out, do you?
Yeah.
With your Bristol. Nice.
We bring them out, and then we'll work on them together, and we'll sell them on our website, and then we'll also making a gin is a lot of effort. It's not easy to make a gin. So, in a way of working together, we can sell it on our website. And then Ed gets something out of it that he can use that's specific.
So when you say it's hard, like it's interesting to hear you explain.
Okay.
So what goes into it?
Simply, gin is flavoured vodka. So we're just taking a neutral base and we're adding flavour. You can either just take some vodka, put loads of different botanicals in, strain it out, and you'll have a compound gin or a bathtub gin. We use a still. A still is basically a pot. If we put neutral spirit inside, we use 96%, and we heat it up to 78. The ethanol vapor starts to rise. There's 2 ways of making gin, or a few ways, but I'll tell you the way that we make it quickly. And all that vapor sort of gets collected in pipes and gets sent through almost looks like a large leaf tea strainer, a botanical basket. And we put loads of different fresh herbs and stuff and everything inside there, and then it gets turned back into a liquid, going through a cooling pipe, and then diluted down to the respective ABVs. So it's super simple. And when you think of a gin recipe, we'll have classic elements, which would be juniper berries, coriander seed, and angelica root. And then we have citrus, and then we'll have lighter elements and heavier elements. Some gins, like the lemongrass that we do for Rocksalt, doesn't really have a very big back end. There's no spices or peppers or woods or barks or anything like that. It's all light. The gin that we're tasting now tastes quite strong and full-bodied and balanced because it's a good mix of dry, light, and then heavy sort of woods, bark, spices, peppers. Because if you can make a gin, you just need to balance those 2 bits out so it actually tastes good. If you've ever had something that's way too easy to drink, it's because a gin. It's probably because it doesn't have, in my opinion, maybe enough of a sort of a base, a heavy base. So that's kind of how we do that. So we'll start with a few very small amounts of ingredients, and then we'll add one on, and we'll add something on. Like with the 3 tigers, we wanted something savoury, so I think we broke it down into 3 bits. We call them the Holy Trinity, which would be juniper, coriander, angelica root, and then we wanted something that was a smoky element, a chili element, and then we also needed a main flavour that everything could ride on. So we chose cumin and carom because of the relation to the Indian restaurant.
Yeah, we wanted to. We use it in in our Bloody Marys or red snappers, so it goes really well with the sort of really heavy savoury flavours. But there were so many ingredients in that the flavour basket was literally full to the top of ingredients. There were so many ingredients in it. I don't know how many, but it was, must be getting on for 20 or so ingredients.
24.
So 24.
Which is loads. It's a lot of... Our regular gin uses 9. You can make a gin with... Well, you can make it with 5. You could basically... We made a gin called a boring gin, which was just juniper berries.
Yeah.
So it is juniper vodka, but at the same time it's also gin. So you can also do that. Yeah.
Do you know what? I didn't actually know that gin is essentially the same as vodka.
Yeah.
Just with
So we
juniper
also
berries.
have a system where we can, if we make a gin and it's not up to spec, the flavors aren't right, or something isn't coming out, we can take that mistake and we can put it through some carbon, some charcoal, get some of the flavor out, and then put it back in the still, and we can turn it back to vodka. So we can always experiment, and that's what it is. It's
That's so
putting
cool.
and more.
I love like the alchemy behind it, you know.
Yeah, it's loads of fun.
It's really cool. So how long does it actually like take you to make like a bottle of gin?
So we're a very small batch. So our runs are 6 liters, and then we'll make 18 bottles at a time, between 18 and 21 bottles once it's diluted. So that takes about an hour and a half. It's quite quick.
Okay.
And we don't have to clean out the bottom of the still. We just use a botanical basket. So we can make loads of different recipes in the same day. If it takes an hour and a half to 2 hours, we can make loads. Hence why we have quite a massive range of gins.
That's just mad how quick that is.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about gin or anything, but I've looked into like making my own mead before and stuff, and obviously that's quite like a lengthy process, isn't it? Anything like that.
The real hard process is the making of a gin and getting it to balance, and then putting it in, running it, and then it's not right, and then you have to do it again. You have to do it again, and then all the while becoming incredibly pissed. Yeah. And then trying to remember that you're trying to make something, and then you have to come back to it, and it's just a process of.
So from the sounds thing, that's what you're pretty good at, Ed. Like sort of like inventing recipes and stuff like that.
Flavors in general is something. I mean, as Dave said at the start, is flavor is the core of it really. And I've always been into flavors, whether it's food or drink. I mean, when we were making the Three Tigers gin, we were at the distillery for several evenings until way past midnight, trying different things and combinations of things, and but having a good grip of what flavors work with each other, but also having the balls to be able to try stuff that other people would go, wait, what are you doing? Like,
yeah, sure.
Dave's very, very good at that.
We just hate boring stuff. They never make boring stuff.
Yeah.
They always come with really good and quite specific things. So that's for us. That's just perfect.
Yeah. Well, from what you were saying about that, you're this gin coming up with pork and everything.
Yeah.
I mean that's certainly like
first for me hearing something like that.
Yeah.
I'll send some to you guys.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Thanks so much, dude. That'd be absolutely amazing. Yeah. So, do you actually like cook in your restaurant, Ed, and stuff like that?
I don't cook. No. I do
just
still
run the place.
I do still bartend, yeah, but I don't cook. I've got some very, very good chefs. We're working on opening a new venue actually on the harbour side, and I'm getting a little bit involved in the menu creation for that, which is quite exciting, and the cocktail menu, which will feature Dave's gin. And a Negroni. I think we're going to put a white Negroni with cucumber on the menu for that place, because I think it's a bit more fitting.
Oh, nice one, man.
Yeah.
So you came up with this idea for the world record. Got in contact with Dave.
And then we were like, well, when should we do it? And we thought the street party would be good. So the street that we're on, Cotham Hill, is like loads of independent shops and restaurants and bars. And every year we have a street party. So that's on the 22nd of May. So that's the big day. That's day 0, Dave. You going to be ready?
Going to be ready, yeah.
Good man.
And how's it going to work exactly? So you're just going to have like a massive vat in the middle of the street?
Exactly that.
Yeah?
That's exactly how it's going to work. I'm looking forward.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to seeing the images and stuff. A lot of people have come up to me and said, "Are you actually doing this? Like, this is ridiculous. How big is it going to be?" So yeah, it's going to be big, and it's literally a case of putting it all in a big vat. To get the world record, it has to be all in the vat at the same time. You can't
yeah, sure.
what.
So then so people are going to come up on the street and like pay you for it, and then
dip
a goblet in.
Yeah, you got to drink it too, man.
You can have like people jumping in and that. Like,
I wish we could. I have had a couple of people saying, "Are you going to swim in it? Are you going to?"
Can you imagine anything worse than swimming in sticky liquid?
No, it's there's so much sugar, so much sugar. So we'll get on the day you'll be able to buy it at the street party straight from the vat, which will be quite cool. And then we're going to sell it in the restaurant probably for several months because there's going to be lots of it. But the beauty of a Negroni is it's just spirits. There's no fresh fruit juice or anything like that in it, so it will last. It will last a lifetime.
Awesome.
And then Dave's going to bottle some, which you can pre-order now on the website.
Yeah, we obviously need to make 200 litres of gin, which is costs quite a little bit of money, bit of an investment. So we thought if we can put pre-orders out now, people could just help fund our side of the project by buying a bottle. So we've got that on our website, just at bristoldrygin.com.
How long do you reckon that's going to take you? Have you got like how much equipment do you have like for your
to fill bottles?
Yeah.
I don't think it'll take long. No, we use a very small bottle filling machine. Nothing mental. It's just it'll take a. Well, I mean, we're doing 350, aren't we?
So, you're going to have 350 bottles of the Negroni when it's done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we do that in a few days. So we'll take just a few days.
That's all right then.
Yeah, but we're also going to be bottling there. So half of it's going to go to, and then the other half is going. We'll have a little station set up where we can just decant and bottle and label with all of my guys and sell bottles as well as actual Negronis on the day. Yeah.
Awesome. So what day did you say that is?
So 22nd of May.
The 22nd of May.
22nd of May, Cotham Hill, from 12 o'clock.
So for anyone in the Bristol area or surrounding area, get yourselves down on the 22nd of May.
For a street party as well.
There'll be loads of other cool stuff going on. There's live music and street food and stuff. Sounds
really like a good time. Yeah. Everyone have some cocktails.
Yeah, just praying for some sun now.
Yeah, try not to jump in there, maybe. Yeah. It might happen. That's what it might. Yeah.
Sounds like it's going to be an awesome party.
Yeah, man.
You should come down if you got.
I'm seriously thinking about it. I'm like, that sounds amazing. I want to get down there and try some of this gin.
Interested to see the vat in action.
There'll be loads of photos and stuff. Sure, you'll be able to see it.
You got any questions for the guys, Drews, or anything?
No, I'm just it's awesome hearing about your guys' businesses, and there was one question. So my fiance, she works for like a kombucha company. So it's like fermented tea, and there's been like some hard kombuchas and stuff that they've been doing. It's like pretty cool. But a big thing they struggle with is like on production runs, like getting it the same like every time. It can like vary and stuff because it's like alive. Is that the same with gin as well? Like
massively.
Yeah, so it's if you get like a really amazing tasting one, you think, right, I want to recreate that, but then sometimes it could be quite hard.
Well, it's the consistency more comes from, for an example, recently we have a tropical gin and it uses pineapple, but the pineapple has changed over the from the supplier that we've got it from, so therefore
more sugar and
they're smaller or larger. So when it comes to that, or bilberries, we have a really nice bilberry gin, but we changed. I think it must have just been a different crop or something. So they absolutely changed. For the most part, we're also small batch. So if there's slight variations, very slight variations, it's understandable. But for the most part, it's pretty good. We don't have as much of a problem with that. But I can imagine that must just be hard. Maybe we try and make things in large amounts if it's going to be something like that, so that the variation isn't. It's hard. Good luck on them.
Yeah. It's just the more ingredients that you put into things.
And also, fermentation isn't an easy process. Fermenting tea, how do you know that if you do things
the
at
alcohol
the same time,
level and all of that stuff changes and
even the temperature of the room. The humidity levels, how much you're adding, is the tea right? So it's hard.
It seems like a complicated process brewing, but very interesting.
Just to go back a couple of steps there, just out of like curiosity, because you said you started your Rocksalt in 2019.
Yeah.
So how hard actually was that for you, like during the pandemic and everything? Because I imagine obviously you were thinking, hopefully I'm gonna have all these people coming in all the time. And stuff like that.
Sure. The most annoying thing and the most difficult thing, and it's it's obviously was was not knowing what was going to be on. So there were points in March 2020. We didn't know if we'd be open the next day.
Sure.
Didn't know what was going on.
When the pandemic very first started.
And then there were customers that were still coming in and supporting us, customers that were cancelling, customers that were no-showing. I think now that one of the negative things that's come out of it now is that I think people are using it as an excuse to not turn up for restaurant bookings and to cancel bookings. I've noticed that a lot. People calling up at the last minute. Oh, my friend's got COVID. We can't come. And I get that a lot of those probably are genuine, but I know.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%.
I know deep down that a lot of those are not genuine, and people are using
it's an excuse you can't argue with.
No, exactly. But overall, our customers have been really, really supportive. All the regular customers have come back. We built up a really good takeaway clientele.
That must have been your saving grace.
That was the saving grace. And then all of those, I've had a lot of customers come back recently that have said, "Oh, we tried you guys over lockdown. Love the food, so we thought we'd come in, try the cocktails as well." We're also going to be doing the Negroni to take away via food stuff after the 22nd of May. So you'll be able to get that on one of the takeaway platforms as well.
Awesome.
Just got to work out the logistics of that. But I'll do it. There's always a way.
Nice, guys. Is there anything else you want to talk about or plug today while you're on the radio?
I don't think so. Just 22nd of May. Yeah, come down.
Come down, buy a Negroni, and then also buy some bottled Negronis and help us be a part of this. And,
you guys got websites and are on social media and everything?
Yeah, social media. So mine is Rocksalt Bristol, so just at Rocksalt Bristol on Instagram.
We're at Bristol Dry Gin, and if you follow us, you'll see all of our ridiculous projects. I try and put things up that are interesting, so you'll follow our journey of how not to make gin, I guess, in a way.
Awesome.
World's largest Negroni as well, so just at World's Largest Negroni. That's got its own
on Instagram.
Instagram page.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming down, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks.
Go and follow Bristol Dry Gin on Instagram and Rocksalt. Go get some nice Asian cuisine. Get some awesome gin. And yeah, Chip, thanks very much, guys.
Yeah,
it's been awesome talking to you.
This is for you guys. Enjoy.
Thanks very much, man.
Oh,
really
nice.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks, Dave. Cheers. Bravo. That was I'm So Afraid by Fleetwood Mac. You are listening to Pandora's Box on Aspen Waite Radio, and young Bullwinkle has returned.
I am back.
The hallowed baby. Just like Jesus at Easter, he's come back.
From the fields of reeds.
He's come back from the fields.
I am back.
Isn't that Egyptian?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're in Egyptian mythology, if you've led like a worthy life, you'll go to the fields of reeds.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool, isn't it?
I was there, but then I got summoned to come back for the podcast, so now I'm back with you guys.
Did you know that because of Moonlight?
I knew of it before,
that's good.
but because of
That's
Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah.
Well, not Odyssey, Origins.
Yeah. That's like reminded me actually of like there was like a couple of months ago on the pod you said about like King Canute being like the first like Viking king of England. And I hadn't seen Vikings Valhalla yet, and I thought that's good information there by Drew. And then literally about a week later I watched it and I was like, oh, that's how Drew knows it. But man,
yeah, probably.
But it doesn't matter how you get your knowledge.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you read it in a library, in a textbook, or if you know it because
Did you watch Moonlight?
Like a lot of my American geography knowledge comes from watching pro wrestling as a kid, which is a funny way to get your. But if like I would know like Edmonton in Canada, it was like. I'll put myself. I think it's in Alberta. Edmonton.
Right.
Is that right?
Edmonton.
Oh man, I feel like I got that randomly wrong now. Or like like Minneapolis, Minnesota. Just
Edmonton, Alberta.
Yeah, see, Edmonton.
Look at that.
Yeah, like Minneapolis, Minnesota. The amount of times you hear that, or like Greenwich, Connecticut, or
Mine's all from FIFA.
Oh, is it?
On FIFA, you go on FIFA, you pack some players. You might just get like a random flag up, but you know the flag because it's because of FIFA. 'Cause you're packing those flags all the time.
But that's the thing, it doesn't matter how you get your knowledge. You know, it doesn't matter. But anyway, I just want to say like a quick thank you again to Ed of Rocksalt Restaurant in Bristol and Dave of Bristol Dry Gin Distillery for coming in earlier on in the show. So if you've only just tuned in, on May the 22nd, they are going to be breaking the Guinness World Record for the largest ever Negroni at the Bristol street party. So that'll be an awesome event. Get on down. And also just go to Rocksalt Restaurant. It's a really well-rated restaurant. My older brother goes there all the time. He loves it. Does really good Asian food, both sort of Indian and Chinese. And they do cocktails there. And Dave was kind enough to bring some gin with him today, and we've tried it, and it was genuinely delicious.
Catnip gin.
I'm not
amazing.
I'm not usually much of a gin drinker, but it was really nice. And also, if you go on BristolDryGin.com, you can put in Pandora 10. That's all capitals. Pandora 10 to get 10% off any bottle of Bristol Dry Gin now. And they are an award-winning company. They've won the Taste of the West gold medal. So I said that was delicious gin.
It was delicious.
And thanks again, Dave and Ed. It was an absolute honour to have you on the pod. You are officially friends of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
You're friends of
Friend
the
of the
pod.
pod.
You're friends of the pod. You're friends of the pod. So yeah, let's crack on with the show then, guys. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit. It's almost like funny because usually I feel like I would almost like bash talking about something like this, but I can't help. I can't help myself. Have you guys been following like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard?
Yes. Yes.
Something I don't even know why, but there's something like weirdly captivating about it.
There is. I didn't realise that they could have so much footage in a courthouse.
Well, it's illegal in Britain.
the UK, but you can in America, yeah.
Yeah.
Because in Britain, there's those famous, there's like artists that make a living.
Yes.
Yes. There's artists that make a living just from being court artists.
Yeah.
If you know, everybody can like picture in head, like on newspapers, there'll be like artists that go into the courtroom and they'll sketch what's going on because it's illegal to take a picture.
They can do it really fast, can't they, as well? Like do these amazing sketches real fast.
And they're like super accurate.
That's what I'm used to seeing. But seeing like the whole thing just live streamed.
It's mad,
like 24 hours a day on repeat.
It's such an American thing to do, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Live stream a court case and everyone's just at home with their popcorn. Like, oh, that witness didn't just say that. Oh, no. I'm finding it fascinating, though. As I said, it's like weird. I've like found myself some evenings, like, so I'm like cooking my dinner. After I've got in from the gym and I'm just like watching the live stream.
You just whack it on.
I'm just like watching the live stream. It's like really interesting, though.
Yeah.
What are your?
Definitely.
Have you been following it, Drew? Really?
Like a tiny bit. Like we watched some just almost like best of bits videos, and they'll be like 20 minutes long or something, and like me and Meg will just like sit down and like watch them. But yeah, it did seem crazy, like some of the stuff. Like I like listening to like the audio recordings and that. Like as soon as they start playing some audio recordings, now I'm like, oh, what she said, what she said, and it just does seem crazy. It just seems like two people that have just like or just arguing and that, you know. And it's all I don't know.
To me, it almost
seems a bit petty and stuff.
Yeah, to me, I almost just like see the whole thing as almost like a cautionary tale.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Especially like to anybody out there that could potentially do, you know, sort of end up in the situation that Johnny Depp did, because I mean I'm pretty sure he was like happily married like before he met Amber Heard.
I think he was, yeah.
He was like he was like happily married to like the mother of his kids and stuff. And then he met Amber Heard and then like full on hit it off, and then apparently there was this real like fiery passionate attraction between them, and obviously he ended up leaving his partner for Amber. And but I think there's a lot to be said for like couples that like balance each other out. And I think with them in like different ways, because I think Johnny Depp seems like super chill, but at the same time I think he's like he's still like a madman. Do you know what I mean? Like I think like from what I've heard, everybody that knows him says that, like says he's like the nicest guy ever, but like all his life he's been like heavily involved in like drinking drugs, and he's almost got like a self-destructive side to him. You know, it's that whole like crash and burn thing,
which is interesting because that's pretty much the role he plays in every single film he's in.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Always like the crazy guy.
That's a good point.
Always.
But I think when you mix that with somebody like Amber Heard, who sounds like a right fireball, do you know what I mean? Just like this, like really just like, you know, apparently she like loves guns, and she's just like super
guns.
Yeah, and she's just like really like crazy high octane, like obviously got a real temper on her, really fiery, and it's almost just like a it's like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Whereas like from the sounds of things, I could imagine that his wife before was like super chill, super balanced, just like a very down to earth, like organised lady, and that sort of like worked. You had almost like the creative genius and the madness of Johnny Depp mixed with this somebody that was keeping him grounded. Yeah. And then suddenly you're with this chick who's like, I think she's like younger than me and you, Drew.
Is she?
I think so, but not by much. Do you know what I mean? But
she's
like
36.
Oh, okay, no, she's a bit older than us. But and then Johnny Depp's like, what was he, like 58?
58.
Yeah, so he's like pretty much the same age as my old man, only a couple of years younger, really. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like at that age, do you really want to be going out with this like crazy hot-headed chick? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it seemed like she was like poking quite a lot, just with the things that she'd be saying, and it's like, I think anytime like a woman can try and like demasculate you by like trying to fire you up, like to get angry or something like that.
Yeah, emasculate.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
It's it can be demasculating.
Yeah. I just thought I'd correct you before somebody else does, and then they were like, "Those guys are idiots." Yeah.
More than any other case, I feel like this is a case where obviously it's a defamation case.
Yeah.
But even if Johnny Depp loses, the court of public opinion is final, and the
100%.
public has chosen who they want to support.
Yeah, it seems
Have
like,
they?
Oh, it's like ridiculously in Johnny Depp's favour.
Yeah.
If you wanted to talk about it in terms of percentages, I'd say it's almost like 95% Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Maybe even like more. Maybe like 99% Johnny Depp,
Yeah.
like 1% in terms of like how many people are sort of in favour.
Yeah, supporting him and everything.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would say like at least 9 out of 10 people would say Johnny Depp.
I remember that bit I watched as well about when he was in the bathroom and kind of she was trying to get in really quiet, and he said he just like opened the door a little bit and she was still there, and she just kicked the door, and like he was like poof and like hit him in the head, and then he went down, and then she like smacked him in the face. Well, I was like, mate, that sounded like crazy.
There's that video in there of her, and she's like a recording between them arguing, and she's like, I didn't punch you, Johnny, I hit you.
Yeah,
and it's like,
yeah.
What's the difference really, man? Was it like
I striked you?
yeah, but it's like it's almost like you can tell she's like almost trying to make out that like a hit is better than a punch, and it's like, well, really, it's like they're the same thing, really, aren't they? Do you know what I mean?
Have you seen all the thing about Amber Heard's lawyers?
What
they've just been like really bad.
They come across as like such unpleasant people as
Objection.
well.
Yeah.
Objection.
Hearsay.
Objection,
hearsay.
Objection, hearsay.
The thing I think is worse, like the worst thing about it, is how rude they are to the witnesses. Like when they're like it's not. I know it's not called interviewing, but when they're interviewing, that's in my layman's terms, like interviewing like a witness, like or cross-examination. I think that's what it's called. They cross-examine.
Right.
Gonna cross-examine this witness.
Yeah. And I think that just basically means that like Johnny Depp's lawyers will basically interview them, and then Amber Heard's will. So it's like you're getting both sides of it in like a fair way. I think it's called a cross-examination. But that like Amber Heard's ones are just so rude. But what I was thinking is, if that was me, if I was like Amber Heard, I would be thinking these guys are making me look bad. So
yeah. I think more than anything, they've just or the main clip that I've seen go viral on like TikTok and Instagram and everything like that is a clip where Amber Heard's saying, and it just feels like the exact wrong thing you could say to go against you, and she's like, tell the world, Johnny, no one will believe you, tell the world I am man, I've been abused, or something like that. She's like I may have misquoted,
yeah, she says something like no one's gonna believe like a rich old white man or something like that, and it's like damning, isn't it? And then when you mix it with the fact that she like pooed on his bed.
Yeah.
I did see a picture of that. I was like, what? Why would you? Oh, I didn't get it,
mate.
Man.
Like I've known some pretty crazy people in my life, and I've done some pretty crazy things myself. But I wouldn't poo on my missus' bed, on my missus' side of the bed. No. Like I wouldn't ever dream. Like I love pranks. I'm like a big prankster myself, and I'm always having banter with my missus. I'm always winding her up and stuff like that. Like to an extent. But like I wouldn't.
Definitely wouldn't poo on her side of the bed.
Yeah, and then like I watched the other day, there was like the interview, the cross-examination with his security guard, and obviously while Amber Heard was with Johnny Depp, he was essentially hers as well, and apparently he was like driving Amber Heard and a friend of theirs to like an event, and he was like saying that it was like she was talking to him about it in the car and stuff, and she was saying that it was like a prank gone wrong, but I was like, but what is going through your head when you think like,
how can that prank go right?
Like, are you thinking like,
what is the best result out of this?
Like, imagine like, it's in the morning, you just had your breakfast, you've just like had your breakfast, you're cleaning your teeth before you leave the house today, and you're like, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to quickly curl one out, like a big curl one out on my midside. That's going to go down a treat. That's going to go down a right hoot. They're going to see that and they're going to be like, oh, what are they like? Yeah. That is just so funny.
I think Amber Turd was trending on Twitter at one point.
And also a really funny, and also a really funny video of her like leaving court, and obviously she looks very like demure, and obviously she's a very attractive looking woman. She's wearing like a suit, and she's looking like all like forlorn, like leaving the courtroom, and then suddenly you just hear like somebody shout, "Yo, Amber, why you gotta poo on the bed?" And it was so funny, man. It was so funny. Did you hear though that she's apparently just fired her like PR team?
Why?
Like literally, I think that was like yesterday or something.
Right.
Because obviously the way everything's going in the media is like so anti Amber Heard and so pro Johnny Depp.
Your job is to make me look good, team.
Yeah, so she's literally like blaming her PR team for like how
everyone else's memes.
Yeah, but it was really funny. I don't know if it was like actually that company, the company that was formerly doing her PR, or if it was like the news outlet that was reporting on it. But it was really funny. They were basically then went on to say, it just finished off like the article with like how like successful and how much of a good reputation that PR company have, and it was like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much of a good PR company you are, like you can't argue with, like you can't bend the truth to something that isn't
on the bed and come back from that.
Yeah, like you can't put that in a way that sounds good. Do you know what I mean? You come with that. Yeah. Actually, well, clearly pooing on the bed actually was a gift. You know, everybody likes a surprise chocolate mousse. Do you know what I mean? It's like, which I thought was like such a good point. Like the idea that like I'm like, for us like mere mortals, like civilians, the idea that you would do something like outlandishly bad,
and then turned
like
around,
and then when people frown on you for it, the idea that you would just blame your PR team. Yeah. Oh, it's the PR team's fault. Yeah. It's like, that's crazy, man. Yeah. That's how you know you're like full on crazy Hollywood celeb, innit? Blaming your PR team, something like that. Anyway, we're going to listen to another track now. This is Pale Moon by Asteroid. This is awesome. That was Snowblind by Black Label Society. Father Zach. Some people may or may not know that Snowblind was actually originally a Black Sabbath track, which was off Volume 4. Black Sabbath Volume 4, I do believe. Great track. Love Black Sabbath and Black Label Society. You are listening to Pandora's Box on Aspen Waite Radio. I'm your host as usual. Young Bullwinkle is here.
I'm here.
You are here.
I'm here.
Not so young Drew is here. Young in spirit.
I'm also here.
Young in spirit.
Older in beard.
Yeah, but also youthful of nipple. You know. We were just talking, obviously, because the whole world is at the moment, about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. So I was just saying about how she's fired her PR team, which I think in itself is the irony of that was the thing I took away from reading that article was that, in my opinion, that's bad publicity.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like, to me,
definitely.
That makes her look bad. I think that's like something you need to be careful of. Like, if you were like in her shoes, like if you're going to be blaming all of this on your PR team to the point where you're literally firing them, like that almost shows like a lack of responsibility and almost like a, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just, I don't know, to me that just doesn't look good. Like that in itself is almost like something now that this new PR team is going to have to...
I think in a situation like that as well, it's like hard to get anything to like look good, like without how. Do you know what I mean? Like it's almost gone so down the thing. It's like just doing all these things to try and sort it out. Like, I'm gonna fire my PR team and all that, but like everything you're doing is just like making you look even worse.
It's like nuclear fallout, isn't it? There's only you know, there's some things that you could maybe do to lessen the impact, but at the end of the day, if a bomb's been dropped, then it's a bomb's been dropped, and it's just at this point it's too much stuff. The poo, like the
poo just keeps coming back.
The clip of her saying like, "Who's going to believe you?" Like in a proper, like almost like callous, nasty way. Like, "Who's going to believe you, Johnny?" Like an old rich white guy or something. Do you know what I mean? It just seems really like abusive. And
there's been like quite a lot of people question her character as well, hasn't there? It doesn't seem like it's like going her way.
Probably the thing I found most interesting was, did you see any of the cross-examination with that psychologist that female psychologist.
I didn't know.
She seemed
I might have seen
so
clips.
intelligent, and it was actually almost
What
like
Amber Heard did?
the psychologist.
Okay.
And it was really amazing because the lawyers, Amber Heard's lawyers, were like proper trying their best to like tie her up and make her look silly and like, you know, make her like somehow, you know, like
Slip up.
say something, slip up. And she just like did that to them, and it was almost like amazing to watch. Like they were like, and like she was saying how like she like examined Amber Heard, and Amber Heard like claimed she had PTSD. And like one of her main things that she's been like claiming since day one is that she had PTSD, but obviously she was saying that, you know, she'd work in she'd been practicing psychology for 15 years and had been like professionally doing it for a living, you know, for like high end clients, for like 8 years. And she said, obviously, if you are a high-level psychologist, there's all these different methods you use and everything. It's very, very technical and very scientific, the way that they do it all. And there's certain criteria that you're looking for and like boxes that you tick. So when she was like spent her time with Amber, she was obviously looking for, you know, what she would consider signs of PTSD and everything. And what she concluded was that that like Amber Heard doesn't have PTSD. So she had been like, you know, either she thinks that she has and she doesn't, or she's just lying about it for attention. But either way, she was saying that she concluded from the examination that she doesn't have PTSD, but what she does have is multiple personality disorder. And she said that she had something else as well. It was one other thing. It was something like multiple. It was like another type of multiple something disorder. I can't remember exactly, but it was really interesting. And she was saying, like, you know, typically like people with these sort of behavioural problems tend to be a weird mixture of like the like crave love and attention, but weirdly they end up shooting themselves in their own in the foot because they go about it in almost like an aggressive way. So they end up being very, very self-destructive and abusive, and then when things go wrong, then they just default to, I love you so much, please don't leave me, I love you so much, I love you so much. And like all the evidence is almost like showing that, because it seems like even though that, she was the one that came out, was it in 2018, saying, basically implying that he was like physically abusive and stuff like that, claiming that like almost like that he like used to hit her and stuff. It's almost like a fact that like he was the one that was like trying to leave her, and every single time she would be like, no, I love you, Johnny, I love you, we need to work through this, you can't just run away. And almost like convincing him that he was just running away and that they just needed to work through their issues. But after that, there's only so much of that you can do it until you're just like, what am I doing? I need to run like for the hills now, because this is almost like getting like ridiculous. You know, I can imagine it'd almost be like unnerving. Like I've had like a couple of like obviously not anywhere near on this level, no poos on beds thankfully, but like a couple of like unhealthy relationships in the past, and I know like for me that by the end I was just like, it almost just seemed just like stupid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was just like, what even is going on? Like, look, this clearly isn't right for me or you. Like, let's just, you know, no like malice or like pettiness or ill will. Let's just like stop now and just like wish each other well and go on our merry ways. Do you know what I mean? And it's almost like that's what you need to do if your relationship is getting that bad.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, but when certain people, it almost seems like Amber Heard or whatever, it's almost like, it almost seems like that's like normal to them. So they almost like, they don't want to just leave it, because to the people that are like that, they're not like, let's just cut ties and go separate because this isn't working. To them, that is a normal relationship. That's like what they want out of a relationship. Or maybe it's not what they want, but yeah, that's just like normal life to them.
Yeah.
Like that sort of cycle of like abuse and makeup and abuse and makeup, like that becomes normal to them. But then to somebody that's not like that and just wants a nice peaceful life and a nice loving relationship, that's like crazy.
Yeah.
You're like, what the hell? I don't want to live my life like this. You know what I mean? I just want to like cook a roast dinner on a Sunday, mow my lawn, put my feet up on the evening, you know. Like,
I think that's what's hard as well. Like, because I've been in a relationship that was really like that, and it seems that there is something that like keeps you together. As in, like when there is like that love there and it's shared, it's like you remember that and you get. But it's just, and then when it's so unhealthy. But then when you actually do get into a relationship that is healthy, and you don't have to worry about that, and so it's like, oh my God, this is just how it should be. Like, you know, like how did I ever put up with that for like so much, you know?
I think relationships like that are almost like the the same psychologically as like substance abuse, whether it's like alcohol.
It's bad for
Yeah.
you, but you keep going back to it because you haven't had anything else, or you're still getting that bit of buzz from it, or that bit of like.
I feel like you can still love. You can love the idea of the person, without actually loving the person. If that makes sense. Like you could love the feeling that you had when you were first with them, but not actually love the feeling of how you're with them now, but that all gets clouded in your mind.
You have this image, this preconceived notion in your head of what that person is, so you treat them like that preconceived notion, but that preconceived notion is
reality's
false.
a little bit different.
Yeah, that's almost like a fictional character that you've created and you've slapped that person's face on it. Which is weird. But it's a very real thing. And as I said, a bit like using that sort of like alcohol or drugs as an analogy, like it's almost like think about say you were either like, you know, you suffer from like binge drinking or just like, you know, you're an alcoholic. It's like it's like 4 hours, anywhere between sort of like 1 and 4 hours, depending on how much you're just necking it back, of like a high. You know, whereas like, everything's like good, and you get into that weird frame of mind of like another drink and another drink and another drink, and things even though everything's getting more and more blurry, more and more crazy, and like you know, you might have people around you doing the same thing, and they're doing really funny stuff, and you're being mental and you're doing something crazy, and it seems like you're on a high, but then either something bad happens or you just pass out, and then when you wake up, everything's awful. And you feel awful. You've probably, you know, there's the real life implications as well of whatever you did while you were drunk, whether that's doing something damaging to yourself, to your bank account, to people around you. Do you know what I mean? Like, if in some cases you might even wake up in a jail cell. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's face it, these are things that happen like all over like the world every day. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's, you know, I think I see it just like that. You know, it's exactly the same, isn't it? You know. It's like, and as you were saying as well, Drew, a bit similar. I think when you are in a certain relationship like that, I think because even though it's really unhealthy, I think if you are very attracted to to that person, even though they're like awful for you, essentially, I think there's almost like a childish part of your brain, as I said, the same part of your brain that would almost be like tempted to, you know, to like do drugs or to like just get wasted just because it will temporarily make you feel good, even though you know it's not a long-term solution. It's almost like if you're attracted to somebody and they're like that, I think there's a side of that can be quite exciting. It's the whole, it's very passionate and it's very over the top and it's very grand and oh my god, we're arguing again and everything's going, and then you make up
and you're making up again and it's amazing.
And you might have like, you know, like an amazing love-making session, and then at some reason it seems like really over the toply good just because of how bad it was like an hour ago. But that's not a way to live your life.
And also like trying to like I had this like grandiose thing in my head of like I'm gonna help this person
that's
like
real.
become this other person, right? And it's like, you know, you can't ever change anyone. You know, you just need to
that's a lot of people call that. I mean, there's different ways of doing it, like different, I think, like things that could sort of come under, but one of the things that people say is like there's like white knight syndrome, and there's like one thing that some men have. And what is it with women as well? There's the equivalent of like, you know, where like a lot of women, they really like bad guys. You know, like guys that are like breaking the law, getting into fights all the time.
On the motorcycles,
getting into guys with bad attitudes, guys that like, you know, if you say you're going to be there sometime for them and they just don't turn up, and then for some reason women like a lot of women get caught up in that. You know, and it's like, and I think with men as well, that whole white knight syndrome, it's the idea that like, say you meet like a woman, you know,
I'm gonna be the savior.
You're like, you know, she tells you about how maybe her ex-boyfriend was horrible to her, how she had a bad relationship with her father, maybe. Or they start telling you all this stuff. Your initial feelings for them are like really like affectionate. You're physically attracted to them. You seem to get on, and you think, right, I'm going to fix this person. And then what you realise is the more time you spend with them, you're not fixing them. They're dragging you down. You know what I mean? Because as you said, you can't fix somebody. People can only fix themselves.
You gotta love yourself, man.
So it's like if you're trying to, you know, and the first, say, like 6 months you're with somebody like that, every time they have like an outburst or something like that, and then they're like, oh, it's because of my upbringing or because that, you're like, oh yeah, I know, and I'm gonna change that. In your head, you're like, I'm gonna change that, and I'm gonna show them, and I'm gonna show them they can have this good. And then after a while, you're like, oh no, like I'm not helping them anymore. They're dragging me down. They're making me I'm not making them a better person. They're making me a worse person. And that's when it comes to almost your responsibility to yourself and to your loved ones, and to the people that care about you, to be like, oh, okay, you know, I need to take a step back from this, you know?
Yeah, it's a toughie, innit?
It is a
Relationships.
toughie. Man, yeah.
I'd be curious to be a fly on the wall of Amber Heard's, bringing it back to that, of Amber Heard's like team after one of these court sessions.
Oh, we're really beep now, man.
Yeah. Do you reckon they know that they're like not in a good place, or do you reckon they're kind of lying to themselves and like, oh, we'll be all right?
I think I don't see how they couldn't realise that they're in a bad place. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think the money involved is crazy as well. What is it, like 50 million and 100 million or something?
Oh, it's like the defamation case is 50 million, yeah. Like,
No,
so
I think Amber Heard's suing back for 100.
Oh, her counter sue is 100, is
Yeah, I
it?
think
Which
so.
is like mental, isn't it? It's like crazy. Like this type of money, like
Yeah, man. It's like again a bit like what we were saying earlier about like the idea that you would do something really bad and then just blame it on your PR team if you were like held accountable for that. The idea in the first place that you'd be suing somebody for either 50 million or 100 million to us like mere mortals is like what?
Yeah, like what?
Mental.
That's like crazy.
Mental.
That's like ridiculous money. Like Hollywood lifestyle is crazy. It's crazy, isn't it?
And like
Different
you
world.
can't ever put anyone like on a pedestal of like. For me, I think of like you know, if you if you had that much like career behind you and all of that stuff, you'll be like at this place kind of like morally and in your head. Like, but it all seems like what I've thought with the case as well was it's a lot of petty stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like petty arguments, and it's not like it's not got real depth and you know, and like all that. So a lot of
He
that,
said, she said.
yeah, and some of that. So I'm just like, what, man? This is crazy. This is like some school kids stuff, and like, but there's like 50 and 100 million like thrown around with it as well, and it's
it
like,
goes
what
to show that success doesn't equal a good life.
Oh no, not at all. And like, yeah, as you said, like that. There was a couple of times when I've been watching it, and I've actually thought that. You know, you were saying it's like I thought, oh, if that was me, if I was Johnny Depp in this, I'd almost be like so embarrassed.
Yeah, like so petty.
Like there's like millions of people around the world that just like watching this and knowing this, and it's just about like your petty arguments with your missus and like, oh, did she throw a vodka bottle and it smashed and cut my finger, or did she not?
Yeah,
you know, or like
what
you know, and it's like, oh my god, did she throw my phone off the balcony, or did she not? You know what I mean, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Or actually, I think with that, I think it was like proven that she did in an argument. Did you hear that one? Like she threw his phone off the balcony, but Johnny Depp is saying that a homeless guy that was living underneath the flat, because apparently it was like on the Hollywood Hills, so it was like they had like this I don't know if it's a flat or a house, but there was like a property, and then off the balcony there was like a big drop,
Right.
and then at the bottom of the drop there was like tents where homeless people are living. I know there's like a real homeless problem in California at the moment, and apparently one of the homeless people took Johnny Depp's phone, and Johnny Depp's security guard ended up finding it 6 miles away, and he managed to track down the homeless guy just from speaking to people on the street and that, and he ended up like paying the homeless guy something like, it was really funny actually, when Johnny Depp's security guard was talking about it, it was showing Johnny Depp like laughing on the camera, because then like the person like almost like really aggressively, like Amber Heard's lawyer was going like, and then what did you do to get like the phone back? And he was like, I gave him $425, a couple of bottles of water and a burrito. And then you can see Johnny Depp almost like laughing, because you can just imagine this homeless guy being like, I want this, I want the money, and then I'm pretty thirsty and I'm hungry, so I want a burrito. Do you know what I mean? It's like always like, it is funny, isn't it? Like, and but then Amber Heard's team was saying that like, no, the security guard just found it on the floor. Like, but do you know what I mean? It's like, but even that seems like so petty. And the security guard was like, no, I didn't. I found it on like such and such boulevard. And he was like, you can look that up on Google Maps. That's 6 miles away from Johnny Depp's. And they were like, yeah, but other people are saying that you found it down there. And it's like, oh my god, man. Do you know what I mean?
So petty, man.
At the end of the day, though, even like yet again, like saying about like Amber Heard and her PR team and how can you make something look good, regardless of like the semantics of exactly where the security guard found it.
She still threw it off the balcony.
Yeah, like to me, like if I was like anywhere with a balcony, right, with my missus, and we were having like a bit of a dispute about something, and then suddenly she thought that meant she was warranted to just hoon my phone off the balcony, I'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
come on, man.
Apparently, I think it was like wasn't even just his phone. I think she threw his wallet and his phone, and then I think as a result he had to like cancel his cards or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if it was a really big drop, Like if it would have hit one of the homeless people on the head or something, they'd be gone.
Yeah, they probably they might do. Yeah,
if it was like a really high drop.
Yeah, definitely. Especially considering like I'm sure there are some crazy exceptions, but I can't imagine I expect some of those homeless people aren't in like the best of condition anyway. Do you know what I mean? I expect some of them are like quite frail and that.
Objection, hearsay.
Actually, I think you'll find that most homeless people are very, very fit and active, living that outdoor California lifestyle. Yeah, I think another thing as well, which I think is infuriating from watching Amber Heard's team. Have you noticed that they say correct at the end of every single statement?
Really?
So it's almost like, when you're trying to put words in somebody's mouth. But to me, it sounds both overly obvious and overly aggressive to the point that it just makes them look bad. So they're trying to put words in the people that they're cross-examining's mouth. So there'll be like a witness and they'll say, on 2017 at such and such and such, you heard Johnny say this to Amber, correct? And it's like, but they said every single thing they go correct, like really aggressively, and it's like, and then the person will be like, well, no, not really. And they're like,
correct.
But I think you also heard that somebody overheard you saying that you did say that, correct? And it's like, oh my God, if I hear you say correct one more time, I'm going to freaking lose it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I was one of those people, I'd be getting so frustrated in my head. I'd be like, can you just stop saying correct?
People are saying that's part of their thing. Is that they're trying to just poke him. Yeah, poke Johnny to make him show signs of frustration and aggression.
Yeah, but I think with the witnesses though, when they're doing that to the witnesses, I think that's more just really rude to the point where I think it would actually be warranted if the witness just said, "Look, I'm sorry, but if you're just going to keep talking to me in such a rude manner, I'm just not even going to answer your questions." Do you know what I mean? I think that wouldn't even be that. Of a crazy thing to say. But then again, maybe they would almost want that because if that witness potentially had good evidence for Johnny. I don't know. I guess it could go one of two ways, couldn't it? But I think wasn't it yesterday? Was it yesterday for the first time that Amber took the stand? I haven't heard anything about that.
I hadn't seen that, but
or looked into anything of that yet. But that'll be interesting. I'm interested to see how she comes across when she's being examined.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They probably said to her, you've got to be a certain way. You can't show these signs.
But I think even that's bad.
Yeah.
Because you can tell with Johnny Depp, he's just being sincere.
Yeah.
And I think regardless of whether regardless of what mistakes you've made personally, I think if you're sort of being sincere, people end up sort of picking up on that and they're like, oh, okay. Well, he seems like he's pretty see-through. Whereas if you're there and you're like,
yeah.
Yeah,
trying to act a certain
way. I'm a victim of abuse.
And I think that when you actually hear some the things going on and the arguments and stuff like that, I do think Johnny Depp, he would always be that kind of sincere, trying to diffuse a situation or be calm or just no, I'm not gonna get angry, all that kind of stuff.
That's a good impression.
But but for me, when you hear the evidence, it's Amber's being crazy and erratic and that, and if that's what she's sincerely how can you be something else on the stand and you can't hide away from that truth? Do you know what I mean? Of how you're being and stuff. It's not.
Yeah, that's another.
So it's probably easy for Johnny Depp to be up there and be quite sincere. I mean, because when you're listening to him, he sounds like that generally. But Amber can't be the same way as she normally generally is. It's what?
That's just reminded me of another thing that the psychologist said. She said that when she was spent her time with Amber, because I don't think it was so much an interview. I think she basically almost spent an entire day with her. And she said that what Amber Heard sort of demonstrated was very erratic behavior. So she would almost change very quickly, and said, and that's a telltale sign that somebody is almost playing a game, putting on an act. So she'd go very, very quickly from one thing. So she'd be almost calm 1 minute and then completely erratic the next. And said, in most people, that doesn't really happen like that. Do you know what I mean? It's usually more of a gradual thing. But it was almost she just kept changing. She was almost changing her mind in her head of what she wanted to be the whole time during the conversation. And she was saying as a psychologist, that's a telltale sign that something's up. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Johnny Depp just doesn't come across like that at all.
It's just similar.
I think it does say a lot about as I said, I think everyone could argue it's pretty much just common knowledge that he definitely has probably some substance abuse issues. Johnny Depp, do you know what I mean? He's clearly a guy that sometimes wakes up in the morning and straight away hits the bottle, and it's been like proven in court that apparently Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany's the guy that plays Vision, isn't he?
Yeah.
In Marvel, and he's been in some other like big movies as well. But like apparently, like him and Johnny have just gone on like some crazy like
binges,
like coke and pill binges and stuff like that. And but you know, that doesn't make you a bad person. And I think like as far as I'm aware, none of Johnny Depp's exes have said that he's ever been even like remotely
like violent.
Not even like anything near violent, not even like remotely verbally abusive. And everybody that's known, because I even I watched a JRE, a Joe Rogan podcast last week, and even he said that he doesn't know Johnny Depp well, but he was it Hunter S. Thompson? Joe Rogan used to be really good friends with somebody that was really good friends with Johnny Depp. And he said, and as a result, they spent some time together. And he said that once they even spent like an hour on the phone together. So even though Joe Rogan said he didn't know him that well, he still said he spent an hour on the phone to Johnny Depp once, just like shooting the breeze. And he said that like everybody that knows Johnny Depp, and Joe Rogan himself included himself in that, he said that he just comes across as like the nicest guy ever. So he's like super chill, super down to earth. He's like friends with like Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. You can watch videos of like Johnny Depp randomly getting on stage and like playing Pearl Jam songs with it. Did you know that?
That's cool. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's like friends with the Pearl Jam guys. He's friends with like, you know, he's like been fairly good friends with Joe Rogan and that. And like everybody just says he's just like a really nice guy. I know that Winona Ryder, who's obviously real famous from like Stranger Things and stuff like that, isn't she? She said that he was like, you know, the whole time they were together, he was just like a lovely partner.
Oh, was he with Winona Ryder? Was he? Oh,
you know, like the main sort of actress in Stranger Things.
The mum.
Yes.
Yeah.
She
had a bit of a thing with the
Sheriff.
The sheriff.
I was going to say Sheriff Hoyt.
Sheriff
Hopper. Sheriff
Mate,
Hopper.
I can imagine Sheriff Hoyt like
Sheriff Hopper. That's basically me in 10 years, isn't it? Just a bit chubbier, you know, making waffles, you know, a bit grumpier, a bit chubbier. But yeah, so I don't know. It's not looking great for Amber Heard anyway, is it?
No,
you know,
I don't think so.
As I said, I think it'd be interesting to see. You know, when I see more stuff comes out of her on the stand, I'm genuinely quite fascinated to see what she comes across like. But as I said, I think getting back to my original thing, I think it's almost like a cautionary tale. I think for people that know they have that almost like crazy side to them, you know, because it's almost like it's tempting, isn't it? It's luring. There's something about that. It's saying if you see someone that's like that and they almost like, oh, do you want to get like wasted together and have this good time? And you think, oh, I'm quite attracted to this person, and they're clearly like that. And then you got to sit down and think to yourself, like, if I got with this person in 6 months, what would my life be like? And it's like, it probably wouldn't be good. You know what I mean? It probably wouldn't be a very good thing. And if you're already like with somebody, say that you really like and is really good to you, and that, you know, grounded and you love him, it's probably best just stay with them.
Yeah, I remember hearing this thing. And it was like one of the most important things in a relationship is just kindness.
Oh, 100%.
And that's like, and and it's so simple, but I totally agree with it now. Like after just all these different situations, and that if you can be like just kind, and you can both be kind to each other, whatever that looks like, it doesn't have to be big, like massive things. Like then you know that's probably gonna help your relationship last. You know.
Yeah, I think one of the worst things in a partner or a potential partner is cruelty. I think if someone's like by nature quite cruel.
Yeah,
you do not want to be in a long-term relationship with somebody like that, because if they're in a bad mood or for some reason they're unhappy with you, or if you have a fallout, which let's face it, every couple does some.
Yeah, it's a part of relationship.
But there's a difference between falling out with somebody and you being a bit annoyed with each other, and that person or you being cruel. You know. Like that's like something that you should never be. Don't be cruel. You know, and you see it with some people. And I've had a couple of people be a bit like it to me in the past. You know, like people I've been like close to. It's like for some reason, like you might have a dispute about something, and the next thing you know, you're like, why are they talking to me this way? You know, they can tell they're being cruel, and it's almost like they're doing it. They're like trying to hurt you. You shouldn't ever, you know, if you're like close to somebody that's like actively trying to hurt you, then cut ties with them.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally, man.
Then cut ties with them, because they're either gonna after a while you're either gonna unfortunately lower yourself to their level, or you're just gonna be a victim of that sort of like abuse. You know,
that's right.
Either way, it's not good, is it? That's some Pandora's box advice.
Yeah,
for everyone out there today, y'all. Love yourself and be good to people, even if you're in a grump.
Be kind.
Yeah. You know, and that doesn't mean not having it out with people. I think if you've got like an issue with somebody, have it out with them, but you know, go about it in a right way. I think, you know,
totally, man.
Yeah, just go about it in the right way.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
because you don't want stuff to like build up inside you. And you don't want to end up like resenting each other or people getting like bitter towards each other. But just like have it out. maybe have like a bit of an argument about it, and then be like, come to the end of it, agree to disagree, and then you're like, okay. You know, and then move on. And then move on, you know? It's like water under the bridge, isn't it, you know? Anyway, we're going to listen to another track now. This is Subterranean by the Foo Fighters. This is a good Foo Fighters track and doesn't get much airtime, so enjoy this one, and we'll be back after this, y'all. Cheers for being with us this evening, everybody.
Yeah.
We love you. And don't worry, none of us would ever poo on your bed. Welcome back to the pod. You're listening to Pandora's Box on Aspen Waite Radio. If you've just tuned in to the radio for the first time, maybe, and you're liking all these conversations we're having today, then we have a YouTube channel.
That's right.
And there you can go and subscribe and take in our visages and take in a more immersive, interactive experience while we discuss the plethora of topics that we bring you every week.
You might even get some exclusive content.
Oh, 100%. 100% you get some
I'm all about that
Watch out.
exclusive content, man.
Yeah, so we'd appreciate you going to YouTube. Give us a subscribe. Maybe leave us a little comment. Whatever it may be. Maybe just something really random. We're also on Spotify, so please go and give us a little follow on that.
That's right.
And yeah, we love you. We love you. Got some nice little facts for you here. We've been talking a lot about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case and sort of the things we've taken away from that today, and almost ended up having a little bit of like a psychological slash like a bit of like a Dear Deirdre session.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's good to like how what you think about it, like how to relate it to like your life and your own experiences, you know.
And I think we can all take lessons from it as well. As I said, like a cautionary tale. You know, don't be like Icarus, man.
Definitely,
don't fly too close to the sun. You'll get burned. But yeah, I'm going to bring you some nice random facts now. So just nice little tidbits of information that you can take forward in your life. And then if you're at a party or gathering, you can say, did you know? And then you'll say the following and everyone will go,
and you'll be the most interesting person in the room.
Most interested, most loved. You'll be showered in gifts.
That's right. £1 million in your pocket.
Yeah. So did you guys know there is a type of honey called mad honey, which causes mass hallucinations?
Whoa,
honey.
Dude.
There's a career. People can make a career in Nepal from being a honey hunter, right? Ooh. And some honey hunters make crazy, dangerous, fertile climbs just to harvest it, because it usually sells for about the equivalent of $80 a pound. So it's a really popular thing in Nepal, and people will pay a lot of money for it, and then they sit back, they have like this delicious honey, and then they will just trip.
Tripping balls on honey, man.
They will just be tripping balls.
I wonder what makes it hallucinogenic.
That would be an interesting thing to know, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
I'll have to try and make a note of that before I forget.
Maybe it's the stuff that the bees are pollinating from.
Yeah,
yes,
the flowers,
because they make
psychedelic
it from
mushrooms or something. Maybe, you know.
That wouldn't be possible.
I don't think it would be possible from mushrooms.
Some kind of fungi.
I reckon plant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because obviously, that's.
I don't know if they have spores. I don't know if they have pollen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
True.
Got another nice little factoid for you here.
Oh yes.
Did you know that several months before Russell Crowe won an Oscar for the film Gladiator, which is a great movie, by the way. I think
one of my faves.
I've definitely heard a couple of people say that that's their favourite movie of all time. And it is a great movie. Yeah, a couple of months before he won the Oscar for Gladiator, the FBI warned Russell Crowe that the Al-Qaeda were planning to kidnap him as part of a cultural destabilisation plot. Because of his mass fame at the time. And for 2 years after that, the FBI guarded Russell Crowe in public and refused to give him any details about the threat.
Whoa!
So he was like
cool.
a mass target of Al-Qaeda for a couple of years. Because I guess when
crazy.
When Gladiator came out, that's when Al-Qaeda was like probably like the biggest threat in terms of terrorism to like.
So they
the
were
going
to try and kidnap him, and that's crazy.
They were going to try and make an example of Maximus Decimus Meridius. Imagine if they did capture him, but then just got found out that Al-Qaeda had just been completely wiped out, and then there was just a video of him just covered in blood, dressed as Maximus Decimus Meridius. And he was like, I am Maximus Decimus Meridius, husband to a murdered wife, father to a murdered son. I have had my vengeance. That'd be cool. Everyone would be like, oh my God! Another little factoid for you. This is just like a nice little one, a little heartwarming one, especially considering, it was back in day. In 1809, a woman named Jane Todd Crawford was diagnosed, sadly, with an ovarian tumour. She rode 60 miles on horseback to see a famous surgeon of the day named Ephraim McDowell, who was willing to extract the tumour for her. It was a procedure that had never been done before because doctors feared that it would kill the patient. But after a 22.5-pound tumour was removed, which is mad. Like, she must have been in so much discomfort. Can you imagine having a 22?
Mental. That's like having a kid.
That's like basically like 10 kilos. Think about that. Think about a 10-kilo dumbbell.
It's more than a kid, isn't it? What's a kid? Like 8.
Well, my daughter Evie at the moment is about 12 kilos, and she's 2. So it's like a 2-year-old. Well, just like a bit under a 2.
Mental.
Yeah, when I think about Evie as well, like, obviously she's not big, but I mean, if it was a tumour, yeah, that'd be massive. That's such a funny way to put it, isn't it? Yeah, she's like a beautiful little tumour in my life. Yeah, but after the 22.5-pound tumour was removed from her body, without anaesthesia as well, by the way, because back in those days it wasn't even a thing yet. Usually in those days, people would usually just down brandy or other when
alcohol. You said 22 at first, I thought you were going to say 22 hours it had taken, and I was like, that'd have been savage. Cool.
So she had a 22.5-pound tumour removed from her ovaries without any anaesthetic, right? She went on to live for another 32 years.
Oh, nice.
And she was already like middle-aged when she had the operation. So, I mean, for like, the medicine of the day, we're talking 1809 this happened. This is over 200 years ago. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah,
that's pretty darn good. As I said, I think that, I think the first time that ever happened. So, got another interesting factoid for you now. We love our factoids here on Pandora's Box. There were 2 estranged twins that have affectionately become known as the Jim twins. Jim Lewis and Jim Springer. They have separate names because they were separated at birth. Their birth mother put them up for adoption for whatever reason. She couldn't handle having kids or whatever. And they were adopted by separate families. So they didn't meet each other until at the age of 39 years old. Right? They didn't even meet until they were 39 years old. But this is where almost like the craziness of I guess the nature versus nurture sort of argument. Just this is in favour of the nature argument. So both of them were not only named Jim. Both of their wives were named Linda. Sorry, their first wives were named Linda, and they both had a second wife called Betty. What? Both of them named their sons James. And both of them had dogs called Toy. Both of them chain smoked, and even the same brand of cigarettes called Salem's, right, which is a popular cigarette brand in America. Both of them had the same model Chevy car, and they were both sheriff deputies, right, for a living, and they met while both of them were vacationing on the same beach in Florida.
That's mental.
How good is that?
That's crazy.
I just love that.
About destiny, man.
Yeah.
Did they look quite like each other as well? Were they identical twins?
I've got
because that'd be like, imagine if you're just on the beach and then you just see your doppelganger. You're just
I haven't got a picture of them. See if you can get one up, Bullwinkle. So look, Jim Lewis and Jim Springer twins, or the Jim twins. Type in like the Jim twins, Jim Lewis and Jim Springer.
Oh yeah, they look pretty similar.
A little bit,
but they weren't.
They're not like identical.
Well, no, they weren't identical twins. They were twins. So,
okay,
Might be that.
This next one is really interesting because I've definitely had this before, and I assume everyone has, but I think everybody has it to varying levels. And I think to most people it won't ever be a real issue, and I think some people maybe that are really mentally maybe like unstable, maybe that's not the right word to describe it, maybe just not mentally in control, something like that. But I think with some people this phenomenon probably affects them much more. But I've definitely had this, and I think you guys probably will have too. There's a psychological phenomenon that is officially known as the call of the void. The call of the void is a sudden, strong, but usually very quickly dismissed urge to do something incredibly stupid or dangerous, usually associated with jumping off a high place. but it could be anything. And I've definitely had that before. Have
Oh,
you had that?
100%.
Yeah, I've had that.
A funny little story.
Nice.
I went on
Bring it.
an aeroplane. I think we're going to America.
Yeah.
And we got not the window seat, we got the door seat.
Yeah.
Because extra leg room and all that.
Of course.
And I sat there, and I always get like the window when I'm with my family, which is obviously the closest one to the door.
Yeah.
And I had to move in the end because I was like, I can't sit next to that door. I obviously wouldn't have opened it, but I just had this
you
like
felt like
overwhelming urge
Yeah.
of like, go open that door. I hated it.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
weird. I remember I had one, and I remember I almost did it. And this is probably the time that I had the call of the void took me the hardest. I remember, and this is a funny one because it's such a funny little thing if you think about it. But at the time, it would have really made me upset, which makes it even more strange that I was so seriously considering it. But I remember I went to Glastonbury with my parents when I was probably like 10 or 11. It was when Pokemon was like the thing.
Yeah.
And I remember just like Josh, I collected Pokemon cards. And during that era, like the pinnacle of like achievement in terms of like collecting Pokemon cards was if you bought a pack and then you got a shiny Charizard.
Oh yeah.
That was like what people were getting. Well, that's what people wanted. And I remember I finally after probably buying hundreds of packs of Pokemon cards, and most of them being like little, Geodudes and stuff like that, Squirtles, and I remember I already had some pretty good shinies. I had a shiny Blastoise, I had a shiny Scyther, a couple of other nice ones, and then I finally got a shiny Charizard. And I remember I opened it while we were in the car on the way home. And I remember just looking at the blur of the hedges in the back of my parents' car as I was going back. And I remember I had the window open about 3 inches. And I literally remember it was almost like something from Star Wars, like somebody had the Force on me, and I was like going to put it out the window, almost like put it out the window and let go of it.
Yeah.
And it was almost like I dreamt of having that card for so many months. But when you're that age, you feel like it's been like years.
Yeah.
But it'd probably been like 3 months. But I remember it was like the call to the void, as I now know it's known, was like literally put in my hand, and it was like 50-50 for a minute.
Yeah.
I literally almost did it. I was like, I think I even like held it against the
mad,
window,
man.
and I was almost like, shall I let go? I'm going to let go. And then at the last minute, I was like, no, what am I doing? But I almost let go, and the call of the void almost got me. Isn't that crazy though?
Crazy.
Oh man, I wish I had a story. I can't think of
Can you
one
not
off
think
the
of a
top
call
my
to the
head.
void?
No.
No call to the void. No. Yeah, well, hopefully you don't, man, because as I said, it's crazy. But I mean,
something is human nature. It's just your I guess
a weird
you're
self-destructive
self-conscious.
thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like what, like literally, like
You would never want to,
No.
but it just overtakes you a little bit. You're like, whoa.
I think. Do you know what I mean?
Whoa.
Thinking about it, because there's only sort of like two things that really sort of I guess I would consider like an irrational fear. Like, don't get me wrong, they are rational, but I guess they're irrational in terms of the fact that like, the mental torment it would put me under. And that's the fear of being in water with a great white shark, because I think we touched upon before on the pod, and also like the idea of like falling from like a real height. It's weird because I do like say like the guttering for my grandparents' house, and it's like a big house in Wemden, so I'll like go on a ladder right to the top of their roof, and I'll do it. And I guess I've gotten used to that. But if say I was like on a skyscraper, and sometimes they have like glass floors. Like I wouldn't like that. I really wouldn't like walking on that. It would just give me the EBGBs. But at the same time, I feel like if I was like say leaning on a rail, and I was like ridiculous,
Hanging
like in
over.
some sort of like New York skyscraper, there would be some weird thing in the back of my head, almost like jump.
Yeah.
What if you just climbed over the rail now and just went?
Yeah.
And it's almost like, and then you almost like freak yourself out, and you're like, no.
Yeah, you
And
have to
then
like back away.
You need
from
to back away from the rail because
yeah.
it's like the thought of that.
That's
You're like,
crazy,
no,
man.
and you're like, obviously I wouldn't do that, but then you're like, but what if I did?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Do you know
That's
what I mean?
exactly
Yeah.
it.
It's weird.
I
Like,
have
what
thought of
even is
one
that?
where I thought about it like on the motorway and stuff sometimes when you're driving like super fast and you think, what if I just went like just kind of
that's the call of the void.
That's it. So I have had
Yeah,
that.
that's the call of the
Or I
void.
just see all these cars coming the other way and I'm like, what if I just went to the side a little bit and like what would actually happen in that? Like what
or
what
if you
would be,
just
like, the
full
fallout
on
of it?
turned the wheel,
just did a massive,
and obviously you would just go like on your side, like spinning.
I've definitely had that.
And it
if
like
that's
freaks
the
you
case.
out after,
Yeah,
isn't it?
and
You're
then
like,
it's
whoa,
like,
snap out of it.
Yeah, that is the call of the void. So anyway, we're going to leave you guys on that. You have been listening to Pandora's Box. We hope that the call of the void does not bring you too much menace, everybody listening. But
Doesn't
we
get
love
ya.
you. We'll be back next week for another Pandora's Box, and we hope that you will have a beautiful week. Cheers, guys.
Goodbye.
Cheers.